This is the point in the show that I introduce our guest analyst, who is here with me for the rest of the program and who'll give us his personal take on the news and issues of the day. And tonight I'm joined in the studio by the journalist, policy strategist and Arise News analyst, Waziri Adio. Thank you, Waziri, for coming in.
Always a pleasure.
Let's start with the guests on the program before we move on to a couple of the other topics and so on. But we had Tonya Prince-Will, who was a prominent member of the APC, and he left in July because he thought the Muslim-Muslim ticket was against his principles, and he made some fairly strident points about the reasons why he left. I wonder what your thoughts are on that.
I think we have to respect people's decisions. He has made his decision about, and I don't think he should be apologetic about that, and, APC also has made his call. I think APC made a calculated risk. They know that it's risky. They had different options. They could have done a Muslim, Christian, which would have been the natural way to go. But also, if you look at it, that if you are from the South and you are a Muslim from the South, right, you are invariably a minority from the South, right? Yes, if you go to the Southwest, there's a significant Muslim population in the Southwest. But if you take the South, the three zones in the South, you are a minority.
That is true.
So their own calculation is that, can you risk any time a Muslim emerges from the South, right? That dilemma will be there, which was what happened in 1993 when Abiola also happened to be a Muslim. So the thing will be, do you run with a Christian and who invariably will also be a minority from the North? Do you want to risk two minorities?
That's a very interesting
point. So they knew what the deal was, or what the deal is. They made a calculated risk, and they decided to fill this incongruous ticket, which, by the way, is not totally new. You can look at not just 1993. If you go back to 1979, Awolowo ran something that was even more risky. Awolowo was from the present Southwest, and he ran with a fellow Christian from the present Southeast. Philip Imwadi was from...
Yeah, but he didn't win.
Yes, he didn't win. But I'm just saying,
I see what you mean.
But it was also a different time. Also, Zeke ran with a Christian.
And he didn't win either.
So they've made their choice. It comes with a lot of risk, including that they will lose a lot of votes. But they also think that it's something that will give them an edge, especially in the North. For in APC, there's no, they need to play well in the North, right? So, but come back to Mr. Tonya Prince-Will, he has made his decision. We should respect that. The party has also made his own decision.
And is getting on with it.
And people have rights to disagree with that. And APC is not the only party, right? There's PDP, there's Labour Party, there's NMPP. There are actually 18 political parties, on the
so you can choose whichever you want. But given the prominence of, that's why this is particularly significant, given the prominence of the APC as the ruling party. I guess that there was a sense that, perhaps they ought to also be setting example in a country where there's so much division when it comes to things like religion and ethnicity and so on, and balance is so important. And we heard just a day ago, in fact I think it was in This Day newspaper, that all that concern generated by that same faith ticket of the APC has taken a different turn, with northern Christians, Muslims and political leaders beginning to consider a possible consensus presidential candidate to defeat the APC's Muslim-Muslim ticket. They apparently agreed to work together to achieve this, and included the likes of the former Speaker of the House of Reps, Yakubu Dogara, the former Secretary to the Federal Government, Babachi Lawal, and so on. I mean, should that worry the APC?
They should be worried because politics is actually a game of addition, not subtraction. Any vote that you are likely to lose should worry you, right? But they've made up their mind. It's too late for APC to go back. And to return to the issue that you mentioned about balancing, there are different identity markers, right? And over time, some of these things have been, expanded. The traditional identity marker or the areas we thought we needed to balance in Nigeria was north and south, right? Invariably,
so regionally,
yes, the regional balance.
Right.
Along the line, religion became part of it. So we started with region. You can't, even we are talking about competence and all of that, you can't, of course, Awolowo did that, which was a risky, and we knew where it led them. But you know what? Awolowo came a distant second, a very close second rather. He actually won 26% of the vote, whereas Shagari that won scored 33% of the vote. Right. So it wasn't, but it was a different time. It wasn't a time like this when religion has become, excessively politicized. Yes. Right. So it is APC's cross. They went into this with their eyes wide open. They know what they are doing, and they want to play big in the north. There are people from the north, the Christian north, some part of the Muslim north, who say that they're trying to form a consensus, to work against APC. That might work out that way, but this is politics. Between now and February, you hear all sorts of things. Yes. You might also not work out that way. They can also look at these people and say, who are these people really? When you look at them, how many votes do you have behind them? So I think that's
yeah, I see the point you're making. I want to quickly get to another point before we have to go. And The Economist magazine in London says the sudden ascent of Peter Obi represents a rare chance for Nigeria. It's written an article titled "Peter Obi, the man who carries his own suitcases, could be Nigeria's next president." It quotes all the polls giving Mr. Obi a lead and suggests that the candidates from the APC and the PDP haven't got much to offer in terms of developmental and systemic change. I mean, but then members of the international community don't vote in Nigeria, do they?
Well, I read the story, very interesting story, and I think it's a story that leaned heavily on the polls, that have been, that have come out recently. Some of those polls, I think, some of them, are a bit controversial. There's one of them that was done based on people who voted on an app, right? How representative that is, and when you see some of the results. Like saying, with due respect to Mr. Peter Obi and with the Labour movement, the Labour Party and the Obedient movement, and by the way, people are scared of talking about them because, it's like, you dare not say anything against them, they will come after you and all of that, and everybody, but you can't shut up everybody. The point is, if you see a poll that gives 70% of the result to a candidate in this Nigeria today, then you ask yourself, are we living in the same place?
Absolutely.
So it's a long time from the election. This is the second week of the campaign. We're going to have a 20-week campaign, right? And look at what PDP did in Uyo yesterday, right? The campaign is just starting, right? So there's still a lot to see. It's very early. I listened to Tony Princewill very carefully. I said something. It's not just about the excitement. Right?
Absolutely.
You want to overthrow.
It's about numbers, really.
It's about numbers. Yeah. And that numbers, there are people who are either they've been shut down because they are afraid of speaking. You don't even know where they belong. And, until it's not about the numbers that you even see in rallies. We've seen these many times over. So people should not get overly excited. You cannot overthrow a system that you don't understand. There's a science, there's an art. It's not just about, we have the numbers. People who mean well. The other people, are they not Nigerians? How do you establish that they don't mean well? Because they have a different choice, right? So until people have different, ways of deciding who they want to vote for, and until the votes are counted, right? You don't know how this will go. So I think it's too early to start saying, this is the direction in which things will go. What we can say is that it will be more interesting than it used to be, where you can say it will be just a straight fight between APC and PDP.
Well, it's always very sobering talking with you, Waziri. Waziri Adio is the journalist, policy strategist, and the Rise News analyst. Thank you very much.